Business. It is 6:04 p.m. We have, I believe, 6 public hearings. So commissioners, we'll take up all 6 of these public hearings one at a time, and then we will go to item number 16 of general business when we return.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Everyone good? All right, item number 20.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, item number 20, request the board conduct the adoption public hearing on the proposed 2026 cycle amendments and adopt the ordinance amending the Tallahassee-Leon County 2050 comprehensive plan pursuant to section 163 Florida statutes. If adopted by both the board and the city commission, the land use and mobility element and the intergovernmental coordination element will be amended with the 3 proposed 2026 cycle amendments related to the intergovernmental relations element, amendment process, the Mahan Gateway Corridor nodes, and the lake protection nodes. With that, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we have no speakers on this item, and we're recommending option 1.
Great, thank you. I need someone want to make a motion?
Chair, I move acceptance of option 1.
Okay, great. We have staff recommendation, option 1, moved by Commissioner Cummings. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Maddox. In discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, on page 8, I want to ask staff to please clarify for my lower understanding the lake protection category. The 4 dwelling unit per acre in a conservation subdivision, a 8 dwelling unit per acre also in lake protection in a corridor zoning district, and a 20 dwelling unit per acre along Highway 27 in the lake protection node. My question is, there's lake protection on each of these to work, and they're being distinguished by conservation subdivision a corridor and a node. Help, I'm a layperson, help me to understand the distinction between 4 and 20 units, all in lake protection.
Absolutely. So the lake protection future land use category has as its base density 1 dwelling unit allowed for every 2 acres. But this outlines that in certain circumstances, the zoning districts that implement the future land use category can have different zoning densities. The conservation subdivision is applicable to anywhere in the lake protection future land use category. If a developer were to set aside 60% of their land for conservation, they can develop at 2 units for every 1 acre, or as the language that you pointed out highlights, where central water and sewer exists, they could develop at 4 units for every 1 acre. Again, setting aside 60% of the land for conservation. The Lake Protection Corridor zoning district is one that has yet to be created, but that is intended to be applied only on US 27 on North Monroe Street. And that is geared towards developing a zoning district that will help kind of redevelopment occur along North Monroe incentivize development would be allowed to develop at 8 units per acre, which is still low density residential development where central water and sewer are available. And to clarify, those are currently in the comp plan today. And then the residential density at the lake protection nodes, which along North Monroe Street, there's several of them that the comp plan and the zoning district identifies. The node zoning district is really intended to be sort of where a lot of non-residential development and medium to higher density development can be consolidated in the lake protection category. And so the comp plan allows at those specific allowed intersections along North Monroe a residential density of 20 units per acre. What this amendment is seeking to add is clarification as part of the comp plan update, which we adopted late last year. We highlighted that we were intended to include language clarifying that for the lake protection node that's at Bannerman and Bull Headley, the residential density there would remain as it existed at the time at 8 units per acre. Due to a clerical error, that language was left out of the final adopted materials, and this amendment is seeking to add that clarification language just to clarify that at that lake protection node at Bannerman Road and Bull Headley, the residential density allowed at that location exists as it did at that time and as it is allowed today.
Okay. I'm just looking at the words that were given to us to consider, and it seems like the lake protection node, NODE, is permitting 20 dwelling units, and you're saying that the Bannerman is I'm on page 8, I apologize, page 8, that the node of lake protection is for US Highway 27, and here on Bannerman Road, it would go to 8. Is that actually?
So that language states that a residential density of up to 20 dwelling units per acre may be permitted for properties on US 27, North Monroe Street, within the Lake Protection Node zoning district. That language exists today. And 8 dwelling units per acre on the Bannerman Road and Bull Headley Lake Protection Node zoning district. That is allowed today. That has been allowed for several years. That language is just creating a distinction between the higher density allowed at the node on US 27, which was adopted in the comp plan late last year, and this language that we're adding today, just to clarify that difference.
Well, definitionally, unless our comp plan is going to be specific, it seems a little weird, strange that lake protection node is has a, I hate to use the word diverse, but it has a diverse meaning for Highway 27, distinguished from Bannerman Road. Like a rule ought to mean what it means, and it's hard for me to reconcile that the node stands for 20 units, and then I got to remember that it's the same word, but on this street, it don't mean that for this street. But on that street, that's exactly what it means. This is confusing, and I'm not sure if this is prime time unless we place within this language the specific, what you've done here in label 20 for North Monroe and 8 for Bullheadley and down here on Bannerman. I think this is confusing to me. Going a little bit further, each of these areas indicates that that we're served by central water and sewer systems. A sewer system is that, what's a sewer system? And under the 4 dwelling units, is under the residential density of 8, the Lake Protection Corridor, and the others all indicate sewer. Can you help me understand what kind of sewer is this, like the different kinds?
Yeah, so it's central sewer. And the reason that distinction is made is to incentivize any new development that occurs in that area to develop on central sewer rather than septic tank. That's another reason why that density is higher at those nodes on North Monroe is to try to incentivize these areas to redevelop, to not only be developed on central sewer, but also to conform to the really stringent stormwater standards that are required in the lake protection zoning category. So it's really a carrot. So if you don't have access to central sewer, you can't develop at those higher densities because you would be developing on septic tank and you wouldn't want to incentivize that density on septic.
What's the waiver criteria?
I'm sorry?
What is the waiver, not that kind of waiver, but W-A-I-V-E-R waiver criteria?
The waiver criteria for what, sir? I'm not.
When you don't have to meet this particular measure.
Oh, so if you don't if you don't have central water and sewer, you can't develop at that residential density. You would fall back on the base density with 1 unit for every 2 acres.
And this commission can count on you that there are no exceptions, and this is the drop dead letter of the law. It means what it says, and it says what it means without the central sewer. You're absolutely telling us that nothing will occur. Because if there are exceptions or waivers, I'd just like to know on the front end, and not for us to receive a sheet of paper from you dangling around that, oh, we're going a different direction, and we can make exceptions. So I'm asking, are there contemplated exceptions to what you've shared here in this writing?
No, sir. The densities allowed here are laid out in the comp plan. They'll be, the zoning code will be updated to mirror those as well. If you don't use the cluster subdivision, the density that you can develop at in lake protection is 1 unit for every 2 acres. If you utilize the conservation subdivision provision and you don't have access to central water and sewer, you can develop at 2 units for every 1 acre. If you have access to central water and sewer, you can develop at 4 units for 1 acre. And then at these locations, these are the densities that are also allowed at where central water and sewer are.
Excellent. In closing, I have two comments, and one is isolated to the area of Bannerman Road. It's isolated. And that thought is with respect to the west side of going north on Meridian, that sewer pipes already go down that road. Sewer pipes already exist going to Bannerman. Water goes down there, and high-powered gas line is on the west side of that road. The stuff that you need to develop largely is already in place. It's a hookup, it's a connection. I get that. That's an isolated look at large commissioners that I have no prejudices against what already exists. I have no prejudices against pipes that have been there serving Ox Bottom and Summerbrook and those other areas that exist. And that being stated, I really have no resistance against those pipes expanding horizontally going west. And I think that the big picture contemplated here is what happens on the west side of Meridian. I don't have those problems. That's isolated. If I put an integrative thought at large commissioners, if I was an integrative thinker, if I could be that complex of thought and ability, I would ponder that there is great density. This is speculative. This is abstract. This is what might occur in these rules, this energy building for these pipes. But if I could think integratively, and I ask my two at-large commissioners to take an aerial view of this county from a few feet, 20,000 feet up, I would ask you to look at the great densities down Crawfordville Road, the great densities down Woodville Highway. And if I thought that it mattered to you, I would file a complaint with you and ask, how come the densities of 20 units per acre and multiple units per acre is already existing, and yet they're allowed to exist without central sewer? We have two different standards that we're insisting upon for the sanitation, for the contemporary, for the whatever the reason is. But we've allowed hundreds of units south of the city limit that stops at Wilson Green, and just they stacked up on each other, and there's no central sewer. I mean, if I was an at-large commissioner and I thought integratively, I would look at these two things and ponder why. So these things are troubling to the district commissioner of that area, because if the west side of some sewer, and if they put even 4 units, look at this thing, 4, 4 dwelling units per acre may be permitted within a conservation subdivision were served by central water and sewer systems. 4. Y'all, we got tens of homes next door to each other like we're sitting here by each other. There is a distinction and a difference, and there is not equality of standards. And if I teased you and just made this up as a, sort of a little joke, a little teaser, hypothetical, if I told you that the people who are stacked on one another without central sewer, if I told you that they're literally less than a half of a mile from the central sewer treatment center, you would think I was joking or lying to you. It's just so preposterous. But I thought I would lay that out, Mr. Chairman, and tell you that it's a very sad truth. That's the reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Proctor. Commissioner Minor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to point out the first text amendment here. This is 002. If you all remember last year when we were doing the comprehensive plan rewrite, there were some major changes proposed by planning staff, major changes in terms of like USA expansions and future land use category changes without an explicit agenda item identifying those as such. What we did last November is we basically initiated this process, which we're now voting on today, which will make sure that for the county commission, for the unincorporated areas, anytime there is a change to a future land use designation in rural, lake protection, or RP that's greater than 10 acres, there's an explicit agenda item. So we will see that either at a meeting or at a workshop. Also, that applies to any USA expansions that are 10 acres or more. This is a really good policy change that we all initiated last November because it makes sure that any major changes to the USA or these land use categories are presented to us as explicit agenda items that we can't miss. So I want to thank the board here for supporting this. I want to thank staff for putting it together. Looking forward to voting yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Minor. Commissioners, that is it as far as commissioners in queue to speak on this item. So we'll take it to a vote. Who seconded the motion? I did. Okay, so we have staff recommendation moved by Commissioner Cummings, I believe, seconded by Commissioner Maddox. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Next public hearing item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, this is the first and only public hearing to consider an ordinance for a board-initiated charter amendment to remove outdated statutory references upon voter approval for the November 3rd, 2026 general election. The item requests the board to conduct the first and only public hearing, again, to remove the referenced outdated statutory references. We're recommending option 1. We have no speakers on this item.
Staff recommendation moved by Commissioner Maddox, seconded by the immediate past chairman. Commissioner Minor, are you still in queue? Okay. Anyone in queue? All right, seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor of the motion on the floor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, again, on board direction, this item requests the board to conduct the first and only public hearing to consider an ordinance for a board-initiated charter amendment, revising the preamble to reflect the esteemed humanity of all residents in Leon County. Upon voter approval on November 3rd general election, we're recommending option 1. We have no speakers on this item.
Staff recommendation moved by Commissioner Maddox, second by Commissioner Minor. Any discussion? Is item number 22 right?
Correct.
All right, Commissioners, take it to a vote. No one in discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, item number 23 requests the board to conduct the first and only public hearing to consider an ordinance for a board-initiated amendment providing for county ordinances to prevail over city ordinances in the event of a conflict to the extent permitted by law for placement on the November 3rd, 2026 general election ballot. We have no speakers on this item and recommend option 1.
We have staff recommendation moved by Commissioner Welch, second by Commissioner Minor. Any discussion? Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question on this is, when we talked about it last time and brought it here, part of the argument was about the rapid or the continuing expansion of the incorporated area into the unincorporated area. If this ordinance thing passed, would that stop us having to comply with the city's annexations, even if we disagree, or would that be a separate comp plan issue? Does this help us if we don't want to agree to future annexations?
No, it does not.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Vice Chair, to clarify, because I think you're responding to my point on this, that I brought up on this, is not to prevent annexation, is to when annexation occurs, that we still maintain legislative jurisdiction over those properties. That's just so you understand. So like as the city's boundary expands, we as the county still have the ability to pass policy and ordinances that oversee those properties. Just so we're clear. Seeing no one else on the queue, we'll vote on the item. Staff recommendation moved by Commissioner Welch, second by Commissioner Minor. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, item number 24 requests the board to conduct the first and only public hearing to consider an ordinance for a board-initiated charter amendment providing for uniform countywide street naming, renaming, and property numbering, addressing standards to be established by county ordinance upon voter approval. In the November 3rd, 2026 general election, we're recommending option 1. We have no speakers on this item.
Move option 1.
We have a staff recommendation moved by Commissioner Proctor, second by Commissioner Maddox. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the staff recommendation, motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, passes 6-1 with the Vice Chairman in dissent. And number 25.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, again, based on previous direction of the board, this item requests the board conduct the first and only public hearing to consider repealing Chapter 2, Article 9 of Leon County Code entitled Purchasing Minority Women Business Enterprise Participation Program Policy and take several actions necessary to comply with the passage of Senate Bill 1134. Again, we've provided previous analysis indicating the specific prohibitions. It's also included in this item, and the severe legal liability for violating the act. Looking ahead, a restructuring of the consolidated MWSBE policy, the county's purchasing policy, and the SBE policy will be brought back to the board. This will come back to you in the fall, Commissioners, in coordination with OEV to expand utilization and contracting opportunities for small businesses, enhance technical assistance and resource identification initiatives, and provide tailored programs to build capacity among small businesses, all of whom currently are also MWSBEs. So with that, Commissioners, we're recommending options 1, 2, and 3, and I believe we have one speaker on this item. Yes, we do.
First speaker.
Katrina Tuggerson.
Katrina.
Hi, everybody. I'm normally not nervous to speak, and I'm not nervous, it's just a sad day to speak on something in the community that I work so hard for. So I wrote it on paper so I won't get all emotional, but just before I say anything, I want to say thank you to the county. The county has, right along with the Office of Economic Vitality, has worked right beside Capital City Chamber of Commerce as I took seat, and we've done some great things in the community. I'm here to ask if that we go with option number 2. If we go with option number 2, also for the wraparound of the community, to have community conversations, to have engagement, even though we know the transition will continue to go into the SBE direction. No new applications will have to be submitted. Everything just trans over smoothly, but the community don't know that. Only us know it here in the chambers here. So if we can do like community conversations and have pop-ups for our businesses on all sides of town so that they'll know what's going on. Also, when it comes to the purchasing department, because it was also purchasing in the universities, also in the state and the county. And I also worked on with the disparity study when we consolidated the application process, also with the state. So that consolidation also, we understand that it would transfer to the SBE, but everybody don't feel comfortable and know. So as we move forward, hopefully that we will continue those conversations. Just to let everybody know, we're not going anywhere. Nothing is going to happen to us. We're going to persevere.
Commissioners.
Move staff recommendation.
Staff recommendation moved by Commissioner Maddox. Do we have a second? Okay. Second by Commissioner Cummings. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Passes 5-2 with, 4-3, my apologies. 4-3 with Commissioner Maddox, Proctor, and the Vice Chairman in dissent.
Point of order, was it Commissioner Maddox who made the motion? And then you voted against it?
Yeah. You can make a motion to still vote against it. Yeah. Just clarifying for, okay, yeah. So pass 4-3? Okay. That's it for the public hearings? Wow, Commissioners, we busted those out. Appreciate everyone's brevity on that. We can get back to, actually, we have unagenda speakers, and then we'll go to general business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have one speaker on unagenda items, Jonathan Gardner.
Mr. Gardner, good to see you again. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Gardner. I'm at 3687 Donovan Drive, 32309. So in that document that I just handed out, there's a new piece of legislation in Austin, Texas, that addresses safeguards around public surveillance tools that law enforcement and government can use in that city. I think it is a great example, and I'm going to get to more details there. But for now, I'd like to take a step back, just bring a motivation kind of as we approach the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence. I'd like to point out a specific line of that document that I think really hits home why this, what Austin calls the Trust Act, is important. So, of course, everyone knows the inalienable rights of the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But immediately following that, the document says that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And it's precisely that phrase, the consent of the governed, which I believe has been violated by unilateral actions by law enforcement and government implementing invasive surveillance technologies without public knowledge or chance to comment before they're implemented. And I think to evaluate this claim, we need to only ask two questions. How can a people consent to a set of safety tools they are not made aware of until months after their implementation? The second being, is it informed consent when an unaccountable third-party entity collects our personal location data on our tax bill without our permission and then sells our pattern of life back to the government? The bottom line is that the people can't consent to this, and the current form of government that allows this has become destructive of our God-given liberties. The Declaration states whenever a government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, providing new guards for their future security. And that is exactly what the Austin City Council Act does. It provides direct accountability over any existing or new surveillance technology used by local law enforcement, requiring it to be vetted by you, our democratically elected council, to who we can speak directly. It also gives citizens time to consider if the technology is worth the cost to their privacy. It requires annual audits of the impact of this technology on civil liberties. Commissioners, without these legislative protections, I fear we will continue on a trajectory towards greater and greater control by entities in which we have little recourse. Notably, federal agencies like DHS and ICE, and third-party companies like Palantir that have directly admitted they aim to create a surveillance state at our expense. Therefore, I urge you to reject this false bill of goods that surveillance is safety, and let's together as a community make strides to protect the rights of the people of our county. I believe we would benefit from following Austin's example. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Just for a quick follow-up, Madam Attorney, we'll have an item come back to our next meeting on the flock camera, or when was that? We brought it up last meeting to have a follow-up. Will that come in the July meeting?
Yes, I believe that's scheduled for July.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Commissioners, we are back to general business. Mr. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, item number 16 is before you today at the request of the Leon County School Board. The item seeks the board adoption of a resolution to place the question to levy a 1 mil ad valorem operating millage for Leon County Schools on the 2026 general election ballot pursuant to the statutes and our limited role in taking action to place this issue on the referendum. We are recommending option 1, and I do have one speaker on this item.
First speaker?
Linda Bell.
Ms. Bell, great to see you.
Good to see you as well. Yes, I've waited 3.5 hours to speak to this item because it's that important to me. I rise in opposition to this, and I pray that you do not vote for this to proceed to the ballot. I'd like to bring up a few points. Since the last few years, enrollment in Leon County schools has dropped approximately 2,400 students. Drop. And still, they're asking for an increase. After we have a drop with students, that makes no sense to me. So fewer kids would obviously mean less spending, not a tax hike. Let's take a look at administration and administrative bloat. They've got 26 district administrators plus 128 school administrators. That's over 150 administrative roles before counting all the support staff. A recent report shows that they employ far more administrators and non-teaching staff than districts of similar size. when you compare district to district, they have extreme bloat when it comes to administrative staff. Even as students decline and they've cut millions from the budget, they're still, why is the priority more bureaucrats instead of classrooms? So rather than improve a product and say, why are we losing these students? Why have we lost 2,400 students? And I know a lot of them are checking out of Leon County and going over to Liberty County, because I know 4 of those families myself. So rather than improve upon the product, and they're having a shrinking per student per capita because they're losing the students, the answer is to come back to us and ask for more taxes, and I object to that. The admin to teacher ratio is about 154 administrators, 26 district, 128 schools to 1,800 teachers. Approximately 1 administrative person for every 12 teachers. That's extremely high on the admin side. So we need to ask again, like I said before, why are the students leaving the system? And the state has increased its funding this year from $200 to $203 million, yet we still are continuing to go back to the taxpayers. I listened very carefully to everything the commissioner said, interestingly enough, about the item that's going to be going to the ballot in November concerning the removal of property taxes or the cap of $250,000. It's because of stuff like this that it's going to pass. And Commissioner Maddox, I listened very carefully to you. Yes, this will greatly impact the renters, because all of these landlords, and we're a very heavily rental community, a lot of these landlords, when they get these an additional mill, it's an additional $1 per $1,000, the tax rate, millage rate, flat. They've never gone to rollback in 14 years. The only way you're going to get to spend the same money as the prior year is by going to rollback. We've not done that in 14 years. That's a tax increase every single year, no matter how you slice it. It's still an increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Great to see you. All right, Commissioners, we are on the item now. Is there an introduction to the item, Mr. County Administrator, or we already did that? So I guess, Commissioners, anyone in the queue?
116.
Yep.
Chairman, I have a comment.
I'm sorry?
Are you asking our discussion?
Yep, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion, move staff recommendation.
Okay, motion moved by the Vice Chairman. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Maddox. Commissioner Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, unless County Attorney corrects me, this is not a substantive matter for the County Commission. It's a procedural matter that we rubber stamp giving permission to the school board to place this on referendum. Is that accurate?
That is correct. There is case law that says that this is a ministerial act only, and this board has no discretion not to put this on the ballot.
So we cannot vote against it?
That's correct. Well, you can, but if it's legally challenged, then you will have violated the statute.
Just one.
And your
one second,
duty.
Commissioner Proctor, point of order. So, because that wasn't, your question was on the record because the mic wasn't on? No, it's okay. So if let's say the board rejected the item, there's case law saying the county could be sued and challenged over this?
That's correct, and would be found to be in the wrong.
Okay. And the case law supports that?
Does.
Okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Proctor.
Okay, thank you. So to the public that believes that the county is placing a millage request before you, this is not Leon County's Board of Commission placing a referendum item that the county supports this. This is merely procedural, that the school board seeks rubber stamp permission authorization, that the county permits it to utilize the invitation or solicitation of the public to endorse a millage increase. I want to distinguish that, Mr. Chairman, because we don't want our social credit card overextended. We ain't asking for this the school board. But as the county attorney has said, we really have no choice in this. But I want to make sure that to the speaker who came up, which she knows, this is merely what we got to do. doing what we got to do, ministerial. So those things being said, I won't try and argue the school board's case. They're going to do a great job. But a number of entities receive government funds, special funding during COVID, and those monies were not recurring dollars post-COVID. And those entities that went out and did a lot of hiring, increasing personnel, staff, and coming up with creative ideas and programs to deal with COVID during that period. When that period ended, so did the money. But the persons who had been hired, the programs there, it was left stagnant. And to the extent which there is no funding, the school feels the pressure of sustaining programming or not. Secondly, with respect to the numbers of students that may have dropped out of the public school district, this is not out of step with what is occurring in Florida. And that is directly correlated to the use of the FTE of private schools receiving funding equal to what you get paid if you have a student and get FTE funding in the public school. So if you can find a smaller class, a smaller school, something closer to the house, some people you know that run the school, these things are occurring. So there is I can't think of the word, but people are taking education in smaller chunks, and the state is paying for it. And we might continue to expect that the public schools, as we know them, is going to lose students because there are options and there is no loss of the dollar invested. A head at a public school gets as much per capita funding as a head that walks into so-called private school. So this thing is occurring all over the state. There's no alarm other than money facilitates the transfer of school children and go into places and spaces which heretofore have not been as accessible. And maybe perhaps the tuition at Maclay has been like much higher than many places. But maybe the tuition comes down now that students going to Maclay can get the FTE dollar that a Leon County school pupil receives. So just thinking about the speaker's comments, and I reacted in that regard.
Thank you, Commissioner Proctor. Commissioner Mack, are you back in the queue?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
And I have Commissioner Cummings after you.
Yes. Commissioner Bell, thank you for coming today, and I appreciate your comments. You know this process probably better than most that sitting in the audience today, because you sat in one of these seats as commissioner and the mayor. But I would say whether it was perfunctory or not, I would probably still vote in favor of giving our Leon County citizens the opportunity to say whether or not they wanted it. I'm of the opinion that, if there is a initiative to put on the ballot that we, as an elected body, didn't force on our electorate, but they told us this is something they wanted, I'd be in favor of that. So I understand the things that you're saying. I actually have heard that around 2008, and it could be wrong, could be true, but I read an article that said around 2008, people stopped having babies, something like that. I can't remember the exact year, but it was a year people stopped having babies, and we're starting to suffer some of the effects, along with also the voucher programs, people moving to private schools and things like that. So I think the issue of our children moving away from public school is a complicated one. But I also know that Leon County Schools is dealing with an issue with making sure their teachers are adequately paid. As I remember it years ago, as they started to work on the issue, I think, I could be wrong, and I'm not a school board member, but it had been about 15 to 20 years since those teachers had gotten a raise. So they're really working on teacher pay over there. And so I'm hoping that you know, if this shall pass, if this initiative does pass the ballot, that I know that the superintendent and school board would do what they can to try to help those teachers out and help us be competitive with other states, other cities, not just in the state of Florida, but in the United States of America. But I appreciate your comment. I appreciate your view on it. But I do have confidence that, one, that the electorate will make the right decision for Leon County, and two, if they so decide to give the Leon County School Board the opportunity to bring in more revenues, that people like yourself, as well as other folks who patronize our school system, will hold that school board accountable to make sure that they're spending those dollars that our electorate has entrusted to them the right way and on the right thing. So I appreciate you coming to speak and give your perspective. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Cummings?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to just reiterate and make it clear that based on our vote tonight, which we haven't voted, but just to make it clear that we're just a conduit. On May the 26th of this year, the Leon County School Board voted 4-1 to raise the millage rate. And that's why it's before us tonight. I appreciate the democratic process, citizens coming, and we have got a legacy on this board of listening to citizens that come before us. So we appreciate you. However, we're just a conduit, and as the county attorney pointed out, we don't too much have a choice from a legal standpoint. Raising the millage rate for school board related activities is within the purview of the Leon County School Board. So I just want to make it clear that I don't want the media or reports published that Leon County government raised the millage rate. We're just a conduit in doing what we're supposed to do statutorily as elected Leon County officials. So thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. County Administrator and your staff, for even giving us the resolution that we have here so that we see the background and we see where it came from and we see why we are here tonight. But I support the motion on the floor because from a legal standpoint, it's our responsibility to do so. So thank you.
All right, commissioners, anyone else? Nope. All right, take it to a vote. I was waiting for someone to jump in the queue. All those in favor of the staff recommendation, who made the motion? Who made the motion? Vice Chair? Seconded by Commissioner Maddox. Signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? I'm a nay. Passes 6-1 with myself in dissent. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, this item seeks board's acceptance of the proposed Woodville Sense of Place Plan as directed by the board. Again, staff has engaged in a very comprehensive process. They engaged over 600 residents to ensure the plan reflected a broad cross-section of the Woodville community. This item has no current fiscal impact. However, future implementation recommendations would be presented during the board's annual budget workshops next week. Really exceptional work by the planning department, and they've got a brief presentation for you.
Mike, you have the floor. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm happy to give this brief presentation that highlights our approach to developing the Woodville Sense of Place Plan, as well as the recommendations contained within. So I'll touch on the community engagement that we kicked off just 1 year ago, through which we established guiding principles from feedback from the residents to help us shape the plan. I'll talk about community assets that we identified through this process. I'll touch on the vision of the plan and its recommendations, and I'll end on the next steps in this process. As I mentioned, last summer, we kicked off a really robust community engagement effort that was centered around an initial survey where we asked Woodville residents what they loved most about Woodville, what they felt made Woodville special, and what they wanted to see for Woodville's future. This community engagement culminated in several open houses in the fall, and overwhelmingly, we received great feedback from folks. They were really excited about the effort and to give their feedback. Although I will say, as you can see from that angry resident in the bottom right, not everybody was excited to see us.
Fun fact, when I campaigned in 2022, I got bit by 2 dogs in Woodville.
Thankfully, we were spared from that. So what Woodville residents want is they want to maintain the rural character of their community, they want to preserve their natural areas, and they want to attract more businesses to Woodville. They love that it has a small town feel and that there's a sense of community. They don't want to be Tallahassee. And so I used these guiding principles and adhered to them as our North Star in the development of the plan. The plan also identifies a number of community assets that we can build upon with our recommendations to strengthen Woodville. One thing I'll highlight is Woodville's location on the regional trail network, specifically the St. Mark's Trail. We saw that as a really untapped potential to build upon. In order to maintain that rural community feel, we consolidated the focus of our recommendations into what we're calling the Woodville Rural Town Center. That's that area between Oak Ridge Road and Robinson Road Park that you see here on that map, on the screen. And these recommendations for improvements fall into 5 different categories: continuing robust citizen engagement, targeted park improvements, community beautification efforts, spurring on additional economic activity, and continuing to invest in infrastructure. What I'll highlight on this page is those categories 1 through 4. Those represent our short-term recommendations, what we are seeking to implement in years 0 to 5, with those infrastructure projects being more long-term recommendations. I'll drill down on those a little bit more and highlight a few of these. Not only are we seeking to increase quality of life for Woodville residents, and a number of the recommendations you see seek to do that, but they also seek to increase access for Woodville residents to the St. Mark's Trail, but also, more importantly, to get riders of the St. Mark's Trail off of the trail and into Woodville to spend some money and support increased economic activity. And in addition to the ones that you see highlighted on the screen here, we'll also be working with DSUM to update the zoning regulations for that rural town center to expand where businesses can locate in that area, but we'll also work to update the land development regulations to put protections in place so that the size and scale of those economic opportunities match the rural feel of the area as well. Oops, excuse me. So with that, what we're asking from you all tonight is to accept the Woodville Sense of Place plan. If so, you will be reviewing the budgetary side of the plan at your July budget workshop. And should you all accept this plan, we'll begin tracking implementation on the project website. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Commissioners. Before I pass this to Commissioner Proctor to make the motion on this item, I just want to say that I'm very, very excited about this. I'm very, very thankful to staff. You know, this has been a huge priority from Commissioner Proctor and myself as far as giving Woodville the much needed love that it deserves while also maintaining its rural character. And I think that what I've seen so far in our briefings and meeting with staff, I think that this is very, very well thought out. I think our residents are going to be very happy about this. And more importantly, I think it fits the need of the community down there specifically. So thank you. Commissioner Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, I offer that we accept the Woodville Sense of Place Plan Report as option 1.
Now I'll second that motion. Thank you, Commissioner Proctor. Any discussion?
Chairman, I'd like to follow you, what you said. There's been years, literally, for me. Some of the elements that have included tonight really strikes a great note, melodious. Our staff has been steadfast and quite dutiful in their follow-through, their meeting, engaging citizens of Woodville time and again, and we've been there. And I thank staff for their efforts to engage and to hear, and sometimes to translate that which was spoken. And sometimes people's verbosity is not as keen when for so long they've been waiting. And when you meet with them, you see their eyes, and their eyes are just empty with silence. And they're tired of talking. They're just waiting on what you're going to do. They're tired of walking. They're waiting on what you're going to do. So the people there talk, and they come to the meetings, and you just see the silence of their eyes, the hopes that they hope the county would meet them. And I'm appreciative that we've stayed in the trenches. And Commissioner Capone, I want to just give you a shout out, because you've brought an energy and a sense of lift. When we went down there and we had a storm, and we got down there and you coordinated water and giveaways. We've gone down there and give away food. We've done unusual things to say that we care. That place down there when the roof, the building, we went down there and ate pizza with those people, and we are continuing to say that we care. Our building department, I have questions that I won't bring up tonight, but I want to make sure that our standards for building remain firm but fair. And I have watched Woodville for the numbers of years that I've sat here, and tonight I feel really good that these are forward steps. Mr. Chairman, under the different focus areas, one is about park improvements, one is about community engagement, but in the area of park improvements, we were down there and citizens using the park asked for a hood, for a cover over the area which they were playing.
An awning where they're playing basketball, yeah.
Yeah. And I would like to be very specific in the request that we can incorporate and capture that request. Now, it was not a town hall meeting we were at. It was just 30 guys down there saying this is what we want. And I would like to make a recommendation inclusive with the motion that an awning over that court would be made a part of the reality of the park improvement.
I'll second that motion. I'm going to ask staff a question. Mr. County Administrator, is it possible to evaluate putting like an awning structure over the basketball court in Woodville so that there could be,
Sure, if we get that direction from the board, we could include that as what comes back to you in the capital
improvements plan?
improvements budget. It may be a separate budget discussion item. I'm just thinking about it on the spot. It would be a very significant, let me emphasize, very significant capital project. So it would have to come back to the board again for evaluation, but we could probably include it as a budget discussion item.
Cool. So could Commissioner Proctor, the motion be to accept this and have a portion of that come back to us in a budget workshop?
Yes, if that's the direction of the board.
Commissioner Proctor, that good with you?
Budget
sir.
workshop?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, any heartburn on that? Okay.
And then, Mr. Chairman, the 110 million septic to sewer project, 110 million septic to sewer project. Staff, is that a misnomer? The $110 million, what we're trying to do in Woodville?
I'm sorry, what's the question? Is there the remainder on the, in terms of what's left to be funded in the project?
Right, it says $110 million, and I've seen it a couple, 2, 3 places. Is that a misnomer? We're talking about 110 million.
Yes, we are. That's the correct number. Yes.
Okay. Very, very good. Also, a grocery store, as we look at the area of explore economic development incentive programs, the comments that citizens are sharing with me is the absence of a grocery. And we looked at what has happened over on Alabama Street, city's efforts to locate a grocery store. But is there anything that prohibits our efforts? And Commissioner Ban, I know you can go get them. You know, that we know what you can bring home. But we need a concerted effort to, we can't put $110 million of sewer and ain't got a grocery store to put, you know, groceries in the sewer. We need a grocery store to complement $110 million worth of sewer. So I'm asking, what steps do we do to meet the citizens' desires for a grocery store in Woodville?
Thank you.
That's a question I want to know. What
For to staff? You guys have the question to staff?
Yeah, somebody help us.
Yeah, so as part of the updates to the zoning code and the land development regulations, that's something that we'll look at and ensure that there is sufficient commercial zoning in place in that area to allow the grocery store to occur. There was the food giant down there that closed down, and I believe that there's been some off and on interest in someone potentially opening not necessarily a grocery store, but a place that would, you know, serve essentially as a robust convenience store. And we'll look into that as we develop the land development regulations, zoning districts, make sure that we have the land use regulations in place to allow that to occur. And then as we dig into the options for encouraging further economic activity, looking at grant programs, looking at what programs are available through the state, and working with our partners at OEV to see what options there are. That's the type of stuff that we'll look to.
Great. Now, county attorney, is there anything that that hindereth our county staff from engaging potential suitors of grocery sales? Can they do that, or is that restricted to OEV exclusively to go and recruit businesses to our community?
You just gave me a great, as Commissioner Proctor, I don't mean to interrupt, but you just gave me, as you were talking about grocery store, my wheels were spinning. And I was going to follow up on that too, but go ahead.
Okay, can these people go and get us a grocery? Are they restricted? That's the private sector, that the Chamber of Commerce, is that OEV? Can we give our staff some marching orders to go out and find groceries? We provide for the health, safety, and welfare of people.
I believe it is the role and function of OEV to try to attract those sorts of businesses and that sort of development in areas of need around the county. So it would seem to be that that is a role that OEV would play.
Chairman,
That's the direction.
I'm asking that OEV gives a lift to this general structure. We need some active, and they're not a whole lot of high-powered business people in Woodville, but we need qualified people, and I'd like to see, if the board is open, that we get OEV to help this area realize, community beautification, the park improvements, community engagement, infrastructure.
Commissioner
People want some food.
Commissioner Proctor, I'm going to chime in real quick.
Yes, sir.
Just for your commissioner, so I know some of you may not be very aware of the area down there, but basically Woodville had a food giant, which was an employee-owned grocery store that served the Woodville community. And during the last year, it closed. And so, I've done some digging from my personal, from my personal office and our county office to kind of just getting some information. But basically, the sales of the grocery store were not meeting enough to pay the bills. And so they closed the shop. However, that building where that grocery store was is currently for sale for $600,000. And the food giant is honoring the lease, which I think is like $7,000 or $8,000 a month through the end of 2027. So whoever buys the building essentially is going to get like $7,000 a year through the end of next year. Woodville does need a grocery store. Mr. County Administrator, do we have any tools in our tool belt to help incentivize a private sector? You know, I don't know if I don't think we need to have a government-run grocery store. It's not what we do. But I'm saying is what tools do we have in our tool belt to help incentivize, you know, the private sector going in there to bring a grocery store? 'Cause I believe it is a food desert right now.
Yeah, let me check with Keith and see if he has any thoughts on that.
Thank you, County Administrator. So currently, right now, grocery stores aren't part of our targeted industries, but however, we could leverage some relationships that we have with site selectors and consultants to see if they have any folks that might be interested, given the parameters and all of the demographics for that area. We could also work to commission some type of study that would do a feasibility analysis to see if the situation has changed to where the residents could support a grocery store, and it might be feasible.
If that's the direction of the board, we'd be happy to do that.
I have labored a long time. Revels closed on Woodville Highway. Winn-Dixie left South Monroe Street, which is Woodville Highway, and we just said closed down.
Food Giant.
Yeah, it's a problem, and I don't think people stop eating. It's just that enough people are not buying groceries. But for the people who are there in Woodville, they eat. But they're wanting something local now. What's this project tonight? I mean, I look at Publix done come down to Crawfordville. Stuff happening. People driving down two different roads at the verge, and the one less traveled is not getting what Crawfordville is getting. It's driving right past Leon County, right past the south side. And nothing's happening in this rim. I think that where we are with this report tonight, this report takes us back, Nick, to the precipice of before we move development up Thomasville Road, and Bannerman became all of that, and Bannerman Square, and the Publix up there, the Walmart. It came out of papers like these right here. It's just this little report, and we tiptoed up, had a vision, laid it out on sheets of paper, and what parts we did, and what the county did do. We took 27 lawsuits, some of them environmental, some of them challenged our audacity to govern, because they didn't want it. They say they didn't want it. But these people want it. But we were the battering ram that went forward up that corridor. And we were even forced to have, I believe, Vince, was it a 2-inch water quality standard for runoff water? Was it 4 inches that we had to treat water? All of these high environmental standards. And again, if I was an integrative thinker and asked my at-large commissioners to look at both sides, I would tell you the north side of town is on clay, and it's 180 feet, 85 feet above the aquifer on top of clay. And if I told you if you go to Woodville, where the water tables are full, you're often 10, 12 feet above water, and you're on sand. You're on sand. But there's nothing environmental at all for Woodville to protect it, and it's so very close to Wakulla Spring. It's like a chunk of rock. But there is no environmental protection for the spring. That's missing. But there's a hell of a lot of lawsuits and protections for the Bannerman area about the treatment of water. And I think that if this area builds out commercially and blah, 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 we will create runoff the environmental standards. And I believe we would equip that area by putting environmental standards and treating them not less than we did for Bradfordville, but that we would treat them at least a shadow of what we did for Bradfordville. And I'm calling, Mr. Chairman, for an environmental look and review, because we're 10 feet above the aquifer and we're sitting on sand. Up here, we 185 above the aquifer and we're protected by clay. I know this because I've read a thing or two. I'm not a scientist. I just done read these books so long.
Yeah, Commissioner Proctor, I got the vice chair in the queue, so let the vice chair chime in and then we'll vote. Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support the efforts, any option we can to help reopen the grocery store there. And I wanted to piggyback on what our OEV director said there about a grocery store not being in our strategic industries. This is an opportunity for me to remind everyone that we ought to put an item in our strategic industry or strategic targets, which we are currently reviewing at Blueprint, for this type of community-first economic development. That way, when this occurs, we are allowed to do this. This means something like any industry that would establish or create businesses that fill a missing community overall well-being need. And that way, in the future, our hands wouldn't be handcuffed. And I think I just want to make sure we think of that as we go to Blueprint and look at our strategic industries. If it's going to come out and be the same three industries and we don't carve out any amount for community impact economic development, we're short-sighting ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's a very great point, Mr. Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add one other amendment, that we ask staff to create a skeletal infrastructural look at how to phase in environmental standards that are comparable to the vulnerability of the aquifer on the south side
Commissioner Proctor, let's do this.
and all of that.
We can have multiple actions on one item. So what I'm going to do, let's vote on the current item. The current motion on the floor, the question. Let's vote on that, and then I'll come back to you if you want to ask another question.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Good.
So the motion on the floor right now is to accept the report with having a budget item come back to us for basically an awning covering the basketball court. And a second by myself. Everyone understand? Okay, great. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Commissioner Proctor, you want to ask?
Mr. Chairman, motion for that staff would put an overlay, I guess, of an environmental standard for this vulnerable area and what commercialization of the area and how it all fit and be compatible to just how vulnerable.
Got it. So Commissioner Proctor, I will second it for discussion purposes. However, Nafal, I saw you were coming up. I'm willing to bet, based on my million questions of trying to get staff to do stuff in Woodville, that we already have this in place. But Nafal, go ahead.
Right on point, Chairman. Yes, in fact, exactly the concerns that you have, Commissioner Proctor, we have addressed a few years back. We have standards that protect the aquifer. We have standards that talk about runoff and the treatment requirements. Right now, with the recent state rules and our minimum requirements, they're all equal. There isn't anybody more than the other. It used to be, and you're correct, kudos to your memory about recalling the 4-inch standards in the Bradfordville area.
I remember stuff, man. If I can't do nothing else, I can remember.
With the moratorium back in 1999, I remember that. Yes, it's all up to that level. All the treatment requirements are up there.
And Commissioner Proctor, just so you know, I will attest to what he's saying, because I'm asking frequently for stuff in Woodville, and there's a lot of things you have to navigate as far as with the Wakulla Springs Protection Zone, as far as Woodville, where it's geographically located, sand. So I just, I wanted to second the motion so that way he'd come and speak on it. But
Great.
I feel confident what we have in place related to this.
And our future reflections of this Woodville sense of place, that plan, I think that we can hit on those things included, and that would be comprehensive, and whoever's looking at this will feel comfortable as well, that we have all of what you said undergirding.
Thank you. Commissioner Clark, so will you withdraw your motion?
You captured what I've, okay, yes, sir.
Okay, great. Commissioners, before we close out this item, what I would like to do is request a motion. We'll ask someone to make a motion on behalf, just to have staff bring an exploratory status report on ways that we could incentivize bringing a grocery store to the Woodville area. Will
Second.
someone make that motion for me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
I'll
Second
second
by
motion.
Commissioner Proctor. Commissioners, any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll vote on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the unanimity on that. Next item, Mr. County Administrator.
Thank you, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, your final item is full board appointments to the Advisory Committee on Quality Growth, the Board of Adjustment Appeals, Career Source, and the Tallahassee-Leon County Planning Commission. Mr. Chairman, if it'd be helpful, I'll walk you through the options here. Option 1 seeks to reappoint Sean Streetman to the building as the Building Industry Association of the Big Bend's rep on the Advisory Committee for Quality Growth for the remainder of a 3-year term.
Okay.
If you could facilitate a motion, yeah.
Commissioners, one second. Commissioners, do we have anyone in here that would like to, I'm just curious, is everyone plan on going with staff recommendation for all these?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just go one by one. So option 1, so moved? Second by, immediate past chairman. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes unanimous. Option 2?
Option 2, Mr. Chairman, seeks two eligible applicants to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals. One of the applicants, Susan Ryan, is seeking reappointment. The other two are Jada Brown and Stephanie Wilson.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move option 2 with Suzanne Ryan and Jada Brown.
Okay, great. Commissioners, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimous. We're on, I guess, option 3 now?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, option 3 seeks your reappointment of Cindy Lavoy and Beth Chinchetti to Career Source Capital Region Board for 4-year terms ending June 30, 2030.
Okay.
I second.
Second? All right. Moved by the immediate past chairman, second by Commissioner Cummings. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We're on option 4.
It seeks your reappointment of LaRoderick McQueen, selected by the school board to the Tallahassee-Leon Planning Commission for 3-year term.
Second.
Okay, great. Moved by the immediate past chairman, second by Commissioner Cummings. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then we have option 5. We appoint one eligible applicant to the Tallahassee-Leon County Planning Commission for a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2029.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to
Reappointment.
reappoint Christy Kenry.
Okay, so who moved that item? Who moved it?
We got to pick one more. Mr. Minor.
Okay, Commissioner Minor, you appointed,
I think there's only one eligible applicant.
Reappoint.
okay. Moved by Commissioner Minor, second by Commissioner Cummings. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, guys, great job, we busted that out. Is that it for general business, Mr. County Administrator?
It is, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, great. We are now in Commissioner discussion. Mr. County Administrator, I'll start with you.
I have no issues, thank you.
Okay, great. Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one matter. We've been contacted by our outside counsel for the opioid litigation. They'd previously recommended, and the board previously consented to join a pending motion for leave to amend in one of the cases to add a particular entity, Tris Pharma, as a defendant in our opioid lawsuit. They have further evaluated the claims against this particular entity, and based on the information currently available, they have concerns regarding the costs and risks associated with prolonged litigation against this entity, which is a comparatively smaller defendant. Those concerns include potential inability to collect and uncertain recovery prospects. For that reason, they are recommending that the board withdraw its consent to join the pending motion for leave to amend. And I would recommend that the board accept
So you need
and
you need a motion to amend?
motion to rescind the previous consent to join, that pending motion for leave to amend.
Okay. Moved by the immediate past chairman. I'll second. Any discussion? Commissioners, any discussion? Okay, great. Seeing none, all those in favor of the county attorney's direction, signify by saying, and the motion moved by immediate past chairman, second by myself. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? It passes unanimous. Any other items?
No, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Cummings, the Queen of the County Commission, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just would like to wish all the fathers, all the father commissioners, a new father this year, and all of our staff, a happy Father's Day coming up, because we won't have another commission meeting until next month. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cummings. Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have anything. I would like to, I'm going to leave any motion per your letter for your.
I'm sorry?
I'm not going to make a motion on what I'm about to talk about, but since I'll leave it for you for the data center.
Oh, okay, great.
But I did want to talk about the gentleman, Nick Zateslo, sent some examples and some information, and when we consider, I hope that when we consider an item on a moratorium, there's some suggestions here, like making sure there's certain triggers that would trigger being blocked while we're in a moratorium, while we look at long-term policies based on the megawatt power demand or gallons per water use, anti-repackaging clause about making sure that projects can't call itself something different and evade a moratorium should it be pursued, and making sure we have specifics for what we ask staff to study. And so I mention all that to say that I'm sure it's already queued up, but hoping that's what we get to talk about should we get an agenda item coming back, so we have a complete, solid, defensible option. Otherwise,
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Mr. Vice Chair. Commissioner Minor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to pay respects to a District 3 resident who passed away late last month. Former Florida Supreme Court Justice Alfred Lewis, who served on the bench for 20 years. He was appointed in 1998 by Governor Lawton Chiles and served the state admirably. Just wanted to thank him for his public service, and may he rest in peace. If you have time, I encourage you to try to attend his memorial service. It's going to be Friday, June 12th at 11 a.m. at the Florida Supreme Court. And then also wanted to wish everyone a happy Father's Day, and then also a happy birthday to my wife next week. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Minor. Listen, Sunday I was in Montana and I biked 23 and a half miles. I'm not gonna lie, I was approaching mile 20, I wanted to give up, and I remembered you told me you biked 21 miles on your thing, so I was in the back of my head, I was not gonna quit up on my bike trail.
I hate to rain on your parade, but it was 27 miles.
Oh, damn, there we go.
And it was,
You just ruined my day.
It was uphill all the way, so.
Wow. It was tough. Commissioner Maddox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I want to, a while back, Commissioner Pratt, you might remember this, we were looking at Lake Hall School and trying to see if we could do anything to save it. I'd like for a status report to come back on what we've done there and where we left off. Mr. Administrator, can you speak to that?
Yeah, but Ms. Lake Hall School. Gotcha.
Sure. Happy to provide a status report. We have been working on it. Shinkton, I know you're ready. If you could probably come up and provide a quick status on that?
Is that you asking for a staff update?
Yes.
Right now? Okay.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. Yeah, so right now we've been working with the Friends of the Lake Schoolhouse to look at funding opportunities that may be available to them to acquire the property that we've been looking at, specifically state and federal grant opportunities. Just had a conversation this morning with Dr. C about those opportunities and where they're at right now. It has been a challenge for them that as she's shared with me, but we'd be more than happy to bring an update on where they're at right now as they continue to seek funding opportunities.
Yeah, I make a motion. Do I need to make a motion for status report? I make a motion that we have a status report come back on where we are with that and the efforts that we've made.
Okay, great. I'll second that motion. Status report requested by Commissioner Maddox, second by myself, on the Lake Hall Schoolhouse. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimously.
Mr. Chair, great job tonight. Also wanted to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. We had a tough session this year. Again, the state continues to come after us, but we will be resilient. As I said before, I believe in our staff. I believe in this commission. And we've shown time and time again, no matter the challenges, we've stepped up, we've done what we had to do. And so I look forward to us doing what we have to do, no matter what happens in this situation. So again, I appreciate everybody and look forward to our next meeting. A week from now?
We have a budget workshop next week. Mr. Immediate Past Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a whole lot. Commissioner O'Keefe, the Lincoln Trojans baseball team won a state championship since we've been here last. And although they are, the school's located in your district, many of the students live in my district. So if you want to do like a joint proclamation for the baseball team, I think that might be in order.
I love it. Yes, absolutely.
All right,
Move.
cool. Would like to do a joint proclamation for the Lincoln High School State Championship baseball team.
Okay, great. You making the motion? You going to second it? Okay.
Second, yep.
Proclamation requested by the immediate past chairman, second by the vice chairman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and Commissioner O'Keefe, it'd probably be best to try and do that in July, but I will not be at the July meeting in person. I'll have to phone in, so you'll have to deliver it if you want in July. And I'll have Kyle work with Gary on that. And then lastly, today is my oldest child's 20th birthday. Happy birthday, Chloe Welch. I know you are sitting in front of a computer riveted right now by what we are discussing and waiting on your shout out. Yeah, next year she'll be 21 on this day, and I'm sure she will be sitting right in front of a computer watching this meeting on her 21st birthday as well. But just wanted to shout her out. I can't believe I'm personally old enough to be the father of a 20-year-old child. So it's freaking me out a little bit. And Cameron Welch, my middle child, will be 18 on the 17th in a few short days. So I am just really kind of aging here. So I don't know what to do with myself. So happy birthday, Chloe, and happy early birthday, Cameron. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I got.
Mr. Chair, I forgot two things.
Okay.
One, I wanted to recognize Christy Henry and Carlos Henry, 23 years of operation on June the 6th of Kingdom First Realty. That's pretty cool. And then Cool Beans is 30 years old. I got the best salmon,
The Mojo Chicken.
wedge, salad you ever have. So I want to give those two shout outs and wish both of them continued success.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Immediate Past Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner Maddox. All right, Commissioners, great meeting. Thought we handled business today. I put in front of you a proposal that I would like to request from the board. Was that? I'm sorry. A request a proposal that I would like to put in front of you to come back at our next meeting. Basically, there's been a lot of talk around data centers and the impacts on the community, impacts on utilities, impacts on environmental, impacts on the lack of infrastructure. And so basically, listen, I'm not a anti-technology person, right? Being a now 34-year-old, I understand that the world is going very much in the direction of technology and AI. My concern is this: AI and technology is advancing at unprecedented speed. And we need to make sure that we have the proper infrastructure in place before these conversations even, begin happening. I saw just recently that the City Commission is looking at imposing basically more solar farms. They haven't been really transparent about what the purpose of that is. I've heard some chatter that data centers are looking at coming at Leon County, particularly the city of Tallahassee power plant is in my district on the west side of town. And so, listen, I want to make sure that we are being smart and methodical and tactical And so what I would like to do is have a agenda item come back at the next meeting, basically laying out a one-year moratorium on any data center projects in Leon County. Before I request the motion, Mr. Vice Chair, you bring up some great points, and basically embodied in that agenda item, listen, the whole point of a moratorium is we want to know every little thing about the impacts on these projects before we start entertaining conversations or welcoming them in our community. And this issue is extremely unpopular with taxpayers and voters, and I believe that we owe it to them to make sure that we are gathering all necessary information. And who knows, maybe we come back to this in a year from now and we want to extend the moratorium. But right now, I think a one-year moratorium is a fair start. I think it's a good start. It allows staff to gather information, allows staff to see what other communities are doing. In that way, we're just setting a precedent that, you know, these are essentially new, right? And we want to have all the proper information before we allow anything like this in our community.
Is that a motion? I'll second that.
Okay, well, can you make the motion?
Yeah.
Actually, no, Commissioner Maddox, will you make the motion?
I'll make it.
Okay,
right.
Commissioner Maddox, make the motion, will you second it?
I'll second that.
Okay.
I want to ask a question. Vince, I'm leaning a little bit more on you. When we did a moratorium on the cell phone towers around Humpty Dump years ago, was there some legal thingy that stood in the way? And do we have to say that there's an imminent potential threat or something to do a moratorium countywide against industry? And I just want to make sure that our chairman's good motion is not riddled and defeated by some technicality.
Yeah, so that would be part of what we put in the agenda item that would come back, is any requirements, any findings that the board would have to make to legally impose the moratorium. So that is part of the analysis and the information that come back to the board in the agenda item.
Thank you.
Very good.
Nikki, sorry to get you off guard. What was the Senate bill or the House bill that gave the local governments the authority to manage data centers in Florida?
I believe that was 967. But essentially, it reinforced local authority that if your comp plan restricts data centers or doesn't allow them, it essentially reinforces local government's ability to do so.
Okay, so could we have that when the item comes back, just kind of laying all that out?
It's Senate Bill 484.
484. Okay.
Mr. Chair, for clarification.
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
we asking for an agenda item?
Yes,
to
ma'am.
come back? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. There's basically an
And that
agenda
will
item.
explore.
Yes, ma'am. We're just,
Our
agenda item
authority.
come back, all the information I wanted to embody. And commissioners, if anyone has feedback, I know this has kind of, been a hot topic. I welcome the feedback. I want this to be something that everyone, feels heard and has the ability to voice their concerns or support if it's there.
Excellent idea.
All right, Commissioner Max, appreciate you making the motion. Commissioner Parker, appreciate you seconding it. Great points, Mr. Vice Chair. I appreciate the input. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Commissioners, great meeting. Happy early Father's Day. It's great to see you all. We'll be back at it next week for a budget workshop, 10 a.m.